Today we're taking a look at these NFL matches, which are happening on Sunday, January 2nd, 2022, and giving you match breakdowns, betting tips and predictions in general on these games. Welcome back to High Stakes, let's get straight into it. Also, don't forget to subscribe to get notified as soon as we release these sport prediction videos, and if you would like more betting tips and predictions, then check out our Patreon in the link down below. Our new Patreon is a way for us to help you improve your chances of making more money. 5 plans are available for each and every one of you. You can get 30 extra betting picks all the way up to 500 extra betting picks per month. Stop wasting hours of your time searching for bad betting advice that ends up costing you a lot of money. Join the High Stakes Patreon now and get the best betting picks and advice. Atlanta Falcons vs Buffalo Bills. The Falcons will need to close with wins in their final 2 games to have any hope of making the playoffs. For the season, the Falcons are 5-3 on the road, so the team will certainly not go down without a fight. 3 players on offense could help decide the Falcons' fate. QB Ryan, RBWR Cordarrelle Patterson and T. Kyle Pitts. Former MVP Ryan has had a resurgent season. He has thrown for 3,555 with 19 touchdowns and 11 interceptions, despite being sacked 32 times on the season. Patterson has become perhaps this year's team MVP by doing a little bit of everything. Patterson has become the team's #1 running option with 579 yards and 6 touchdowns, and added in 49 receptions for 5 touchdowns. All this, and Patterson remains the team's most dangerous kick returner. Rookie T. Pitts has lived up to the hype of being the #4 pick in the draft. He has caught 64 balls and is on the verge of 1,000 yards receiving with 949 yards on the season. I understand that Buffalo has nice metrics this season, but that has not always resulted in wins. The Bills are also in a letdown spot after going on the road and picking up a massive win over AFC East rival New England. They are facing an Atlanta team that is still alive for a playoff berth, so the Falcons will be plenty motivated heading into this game. I trust Ryan and Patterson to move the ball enough to keep the score within this large number. But I think going with the Bills will be a safer choice, so our first betting advice is to pick Bills -14. Buffalo has not put together the type of regular season that it was hoping for, but the Bills still have an opportunity to accomplish all of their postseason goals. They have bounced back from a 2-game losing streak with wins over Carolina and New England. Their 33-21 win over the Patriots in Foxborough last week could end up being a season-defining win. Buffalo now controls its own destiny in the AFC East, simply needing to wrap up the year with wins over Atlanta and the Jets. The Bills are now considered a virtual lock to make the playoffs this year. Our second betting advice is to pick over 44. Quick reminder, don't forget to subscribe to get notified as soon as we release these sport prediction videos, and if you would like more betting tips and predictions, then check out our Patreon in the link down below. Our new Patreon is a way for us to help you improve your chances of making more money. 5 plans are available for each and every one of you. You can get 30 extra betting picks all the way up to 500 extra betting picks per month. Stop wasting hours of your time searching for bad betting advice that ends up costing you a lot of money. Join the High Stakes Patreon now and get the best betting picks and advice. Philadelphia Eagles vs Washington Football. Miles Sanders entered with 709 yards rushing and added another 45 in the first half before he left with an unspecified hand injury. He's not expected to play on Sunday. Sanders has yet to rush for a touchdown this season, but was coming off easily his best 2 outings of the season. He ran for 120 yards in a win over the Jets and followed up with a career-high 131 yards against Washington. Boston Scott will likely get most of the touches. Scott had 45 yards on 12 carries with a TD last week against the Giants. I would be surprised if Philadelphia does not win this game by more than it did in the last meeting against Washington 2 weeks ago. The Eagles have even more momentum heading into this matchup, as they are coming off a blowout win over New York. They also control their own destiny when it comes to the playoff race, while Washington is virtually out of the hunt. Philadelphia has covered the spread in 4 of its last 6 games. Our first betting advice is to pick Philadelphia -3. It does not appear as if Washington is going to recreate its playoff magic from last season. The football team got off to a 2-6 start this season after veteran quarterback Ryan Fitzpatrick went down with an injury. They had an excellent month of November and early December, putting together a 4-game winning streak that included a 29-19 win over reigning champion Tampa Bay. Washington has not been able to build on that momentum the rest of the month, losing its last 3 games. The football team has dropped a pair of games against Dallas and also dropped a game against Philadelphia 2 weeks ago. Philadelphia opened the season with just 2 wins in the first 7 games. The Eagles have responded with 6 wins in their 8 contests since then, including a current 3-game winning streak. They notched a 27-17 win over Washington at home in a rare Tuesday game in Week 15. Philadelphia was able to build on that victory with a 34-10 blowout over New York last week. DraftKings currently has the Eagles priced as -250 favorites to make the playoffs. They are currently holding on to the final playoff spot in the AFC, but they are just one game ahead of 3 teams. Our second betting advice is to pick under 46. Kansas City Chiefs vs Cincinnati Bengals. Patrick Mahomes was an efficient 23 for 30 for 258 yards and 3 touchdowns with no interceptions. Travis Kelce was out, but Byron Pringle stepped up with 6 catches for 75 yards and 2 touchdowns. Mecole Hardman also caught a touchdown pass. Tyreek Hill had an off day with 2 catches for 19 yards, but it didn't matter much. Darrell Williams led the rushing attack with 55 yards, while Derek Gore had 43 yards and Clyde Edwards-Helaire scored a touchdown. Edwards-Helaire got banged up and is doubtful for Sunday's game. But safety Tyrann Mathieu is probable, and Travis Kelce is not listed on the injury report and is good to go. Are you all ready for a little upset special? While the Chiefs' defense has certainly improved in recent weeks, they haven't faced an offense with this kind of firepower. Joe Burrow has ice in his veins under center, and the young receiving talent on the Bengals roster is one of the best you'll find in the league. They're going to put the Chiefs' defense in a time machine and take them back to the days when they were an accident waiting to happen defensively. Of course, Patrick Mahomes will be there every step of the way looking to match Burrow blow for blow through the air. And yet, Cincy's defensive front will ultimately be the one key difference between these two teams that decides this game. They're going to be able to generate pressure and get Mahomes to the ground while the Chiefs struggle to get after Burrow. Wide receiver T. Higgins also had the game of his life, catching 12 passes for 194 yards and 2 touchdowns. Ja'Marr Chase caught 7 passes for 125 yards, while Tyler Boyd caught 3 passes for 85 yards and a touchdown. Joe Mixon also had a huge game. He rushed for 65 yards and a touchdown and caught 6 passes for 70 yards and a touchdown. The Bengals averaged 27.3 points per game, 7th in the NFL, and they will put the Chiefs' 5th-ranked scoring defense to the test. The Bengals are pretty healthy, at least as far as their key players go. Burrow is on the injury report, but is listed as probable. Our first betting advice is to pick Cincinnati Bengals, +4. Joe Burrow is getting that same swagger we saw during his Heisman Trophy season at LSU. Get that man another cigar, because he's starting to figure these NFL defenses out. And it's getting scary. He smoked the Ravens like a post-game Aurora by throwing for 525 yards and 4 touchdowns. It was a reminder that the future in Cincy is in good hands. But can Burrow do it against Mahomes and the Chiefs? This is a big game for the Bengals for the mere fact of proving they belong with the best in the AFC, along with clinching a division title. The Chiefs have clearly stepped it up defensively, but they haven't faced this quarterback with one of the most talented group of young receivers in all of football. T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd and Ja'Marr Chase are big time. The Chiefs' passing defense still ranks among the worst in the league because of the irreparable damage from earlier in the season. However, the unit is only allowing 218.3 passing yards on average in their last 3 outings. Granted, they haven't faced a vast amount of receiving weapons they'll line up against on Sunday. The Chiefs aren't great at generating pressure up front, but Burrow is the 3rd most sacked quarterback on average in the league. Their pass rush has to get home and make the young gunslinger see ghosts. Our second betting advice is to pick over 51.